quick question for anybody on the board. If you're seeing that kind of reduction in GSA's ability to build and operate buildings, are you also seeing a reduction in corporate ownership of real estate? And if so, what are the implications to our business? In other words, what I'm saying is companies selling off their real estate and owning it.
I can comment a little bit on it from a macro perspective. I don't have it from a Baltimore perspective. I just did an intensive M&A session last week, and the leading textbook on M&A was missing a chapter. So I had to supplement the book with the chapter. Does anybody know what the missing chapter was in the leading Kaplan M&A textbook? It was on real estate. S&P 500 companies own or lease 30 to 40% of asset values in real estate, but yet they had no idea how to value it. You know, the famed Pretty Woman movie. It's a real estate deal. Okay, it's an M&A deal where Richard Gere determines that the assets are worth more than the online business. So to answer your question, I actually see a lot more professionalism from corporate America as they're trying to understand what the asset value is. And I see a lot more, at least inquiries of stage capital, should we own, should we lease? You know, it was just 6 months ago, I had a company with 800,000 square feet of space in Alabama that they used for an aeronautical facility that they wanted to divest. And my first response is, do you realize that you own or control 4.5 million square feet and you're actually a small REIT? Can I talk to your real estate officer? And they said, well, we don't have one. We're not a real estate company. And I said, no, you are. So the first thing they did was they hired a real estate expert. Then the second question we had is, do you even want to sell the 800,000 square feet? Well, what do we need to do? You need to order a phase one. Well, we'll order one. Well, no, you don't want to order one. You want the information in a phase one without ordering a phase one. Why? Because if the soils are toxic, you're going to have to do something about it. So what I would say is there's a lot more focus on commercial real estate. I don't have the micro knowledge to tell you what they're actually doing in Baltimore. Does anybody else want to comment on that?
Well, I would just say from an observational standpoint, I don't see this as being a market where there's going to be a lot of sale-leaseback activity. Most sale-leaseback activity historically is driven by one of two things. You either have an event, Roger talks about the merger and the acquisition. So you have an event that leads to somebody saying, let's look at this office building and decide that we're going to lease it back. Somebody buys a company, and instead of wanting to necessarily have a building in town, they decide they'd rather rent the building. They may be changing the population. So those kinds of events will continue to occur. But the other thing that consistently ran through the sale-leaseback market was the opportunistic element, if you will. And when coupled with M&A, it occasionally drove M&A transactions because somebody did find that opportunity hidden in the real estate portfolio. And the opportunity was, is there additional value here? So can I create a liquidity event, essentially, and realize a capital gain? And all of us know that those opportunities don't exist to the same extent that they did before. So will the event-driven types of opportunities still occur? Yes, occasionally, but even those, I think, not with the same frequency, because the opportunities to realize a liquidity event and a capital gain don't exist to the same, aren't there to the same extent that they were before. So I don't see a lot of corporate sales activity unless it's distress-driven, and I think a lot of the distress-driven activity is behind us, bringing down those numbers. And Gloria can speak more intelligently to this than I can, but one of the things to keep in mind in the GSA numbers is, for whatever reason, and I don't know at this point the politics behind it, but the GSA has been under the microscope in this administration from the beginning.
It's interesting because GSA has actually been the savior of
a few developers in the Washington area as they built the suit for GSA, and it sounds like they won't be doing that anymore. I just wanted to throw out an interesting anecdote that we heard at ULI, which is very more ULI-ish than anything else, but apparently one small town, and I forget the state, was in such dire straits that they actually sold their property and leased back the building. They had it rebuilt and then leased back. They couldn't afford it anymore.
The town still.
Yeah.
Well, and if